I was gonna do a cool intro where I ran in and be all parkour, but I just had my mouse pad clean. I spilled a lot of shit on this desk in the last 24 hours. I'm just gonna play it safe today. What's up, guys? Johnny Chase here, and welcome back to the club where it's been a while since I made a video. Been kind of busy doing some stuff here at home and on stream. One of the things I did recently is I actually got around and finally sat down and played Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link on the NES. It's a game that I've always wanted to like sit down and actually play, but for some other reason I just haven't had the time. And then again, I've always had, you know, the mentality of, oh, Zelda 2's the bad Zelda because it's a side-scroller and not over the head. And, you know, I kind of let that in the back of my mind and say, like, yeah, fuck Zelda 2. But, you know, I want to give games a chance. Like, I don't need to go off the opinions of one nerd or the other nerd. I just give it a shot. And then it got me thinking, man, the second game in a lot of NES trilogies is really an experimental one. So I thought I'd talk about them today. So these were the terrible 2s of the NES, but a few of them not so terrible. So of course I'll talk about the aforementioned Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. I mean, obviously, you know, it's way different than the first game. When the first game was like an open-ended open world game, you know, it's one perspective. This one is too. You know, you start off, you're in a palace with Zelda asleep. You've got to collect, you know, the other piece of the Triforce to try and wake her up. But if you die, Ganon resurrects and takes over Hyrule. And this one, like, it was so different because it's side scrolling. You know, Link's got, you know, sword attacks he can block with the shield, attack upward, downward. There's magic spells, and also there's an overhead map, not like you would see in most JRPGs at the time, like Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest, or Final Fantasy. But then, like, instead of random encounters, there would be like little icons to represent enemies on the map. And if you ran into them, then you would go into an action phase side-scrolling. Another element they introduced was experience points. So, like, you could level up your attack, your magic, your health. But then they also kept the Zelda-esque items in there, too. So, like, you would find magic potions to increase the magic level by another pip. Or, you know, a heart container. This game is kind of cryptic, but not as cryptic as other games. I think if you realize the formula, you can get by it pretty quickly, which I didn't do until later on. But a lot of it is like, as soon as you get to a town, you know, in my experience with especially in the 8 and 16-bit eras of JRPGs, a lot of the game was mistranslated, and a lot of the dialogue from villagers isn't really all that helpful. Only to like the main NPCs, I guess, like the ones that actually would drive the story, instead of, you know, like the whole, you know, welcome to Corneria NPCs that you would meet up with. But in this one here, like, it follows a formula. Like, if you find, and you have a telltale sense of this when you talk to the villagers. So, like, if you talk to a orange elderly lady, she'll refill your magic. If you talk to a woman in a red dress, she'll refill your health. A villager in purple that's not male usually has a sub-quest for you to do. It's either find something in the village or find something in a local cave, bring that back, and then you'll either learn a new spell, or the weapons master will teach you a new ability for your sword, either the upstrike or the downstrike. So once you get that, and then that leads you to go into the palace. You find the item there, you defeat the boss, you put the crystal back in its pedestal, and then you move on. There's only a few times that it was like super duper cryptic for me. I had to ask chat just maybe like 1 or 2 times where to go. The final dungeon, I will admit, like, I did look up a map because I heard that it's long-winded. It goes over the place. You need to go through a set path in order to get to the Thunderbird and the and Shadow Link. But I gotta say, like, I'm really happy with my experience with Zelda 2. Yes, it was different, but I guess it was different enough where people didn't care for it all that much, and they really didn't try this style of Zelda ever again. After that, it was purely top-down view for Link to the Past and Link's Awakening, and then, you know, going with the 3D realm within Ocarina of Time and subsequent sequels after that. They very rarely ever strayed from that formula that they established in Link to the Past. The only other company that did that was, of course, Philips CDI and the Link's Forces of Evil and Wanda Gamelon. But yeah, I was happy to play it. It was a fun experience. I would definitely go through and play it again. And actually, I would like to play this version, which I'm going to throw some beef footage up right now. This is the Zelda 2 PC HD remaster. So it actually puts the game in widescreen, has a lot of quality of life updates to it, like telling you that you don't have enough magic points to cast a certain spell, a map, and a lot of new areas. So they actually programmed and made new areas for Link to explore, so it's not always the same thing. So I might actually try that out on a stream. By the way, if you want a full link to my playthrough of Zelda 2, link in the description below to my Serb Club Raw channel, where I post all of my highlights of my live stream in raw form up on YouTube for anyone to watch after the fact. Okay, so now let's go on to the second game that was in the Terrible Twos, and this is kind of what spurred the whole, hey, the second game isn't all that great compared to the rest of the series mindset I had, and that's Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. I mean, obviously, a lot of us here, if you're indulged in retro culture here on YouTube, or even YouTube creation in general that revolves around video games, you more than likely have seen James Roll's Angry Video Game Nerd episode on Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, and you had those same thoughts of like, yeah, this game is kind of bullshit. I will admire them for, like, you know, taking a step to try something different. Simon's Quest, I find, kind of does this wrong. They don't have an overall map, like or an overhead map, I should say, to like lead you to it. It's mostly like side scrolling, and then there are paths that deviate, but man, those paths are long-winded and they can take quite a while. Now, full disclosure, I didn't actually play the original back in the day, and I even played the original when I wanted to do a full playthrough of it many years ago. I actually played a fan hack ROM called Redaction Edition. So this actually does quality of life improvements where they redo the dialogue for some characters. They fix some spelling mistakes, so it's appear, not appear. And also the day and night cycle actually has been dramatically increased in time, so the text is faster, the transition is faster, and it's an overall better experience. I'll be honest, out of all the games I'm talking about today, this is probably the one that I don't really care for all that much, for how much they changed. I admire Konami for trying something different with the second title, but I still feel that the formula of Castlevania, as far as like traditional side scrollers, kind of works this way. Obviously, they would deviate from that with Symphony of the Night and going the Super Metroid, which now has been dubbed Metroidvania. Although a lot of people don't like to call it Metroidvania. I don't know what the new term is for it, but I mean, I still prefer to call them Metroidvanias. We're going that style and never really deviating from that. The only time I ever think they did that was the WiiWare exclusive Castlevania Adventure Rebirth, where it was more of a traditional Castlevania game than anything else that's come out before it. But, you know, Simon's Quest, I admire them for doing that. It was a little tricky navigating. This is one of those ones that when I played it, even though I was playing the redacted version, I still needed a guide to help see me through some of the areas, and also like the paths on how to get to certain areas. I already knew about from the nerd video doing the tornado thing, but then again, even in the original version, I don't think there's an NPC that actually tells you, yeah, go to this spot and you'll with this crystal to take you to the next part of the map. That one you kind of need a Nintendo Power for back in the day. But I mean, I still could, if you're ever curious about it, yeah, give it a shot. But first one, I would definitely have a guide open on an iPad or something to help you navigate through this game. Now, before I get into the third game, we do have to do this. My fake reading glasses on, my fake notes here. As a YouTuber and a Nintendo enthusiast on YouTube, I am obligated to tell you that the following game was not in fact Mario Brothers 2. It was a game called Doki Doki Panic in Japan, because the real Mario 2, yada yada, too hard, bleh. Okay, now we got that out of the way. Yeah, let's talk Mario 2. So, I mean, we've all know the story. You know, thousands upon thousands of YouTubers have talked about the story, how the Mario 2 that we got was reskin to Doki Doki Panic because the real Mario 2 was too hard. And I actually applaud Nintendo for doing that in a way, because, as you know, Howard Lincoln played through Mario 2 and was like, this is too hard. It's too similar to the first one. People are going to turn it away. What did they do? Okay, we'll take this game with this. We'll tweak it a little bit. And having played a little bit of Doki Doki Panic, I can tell you that, like, the changes, other than, like, it's not just a reskin of the Mario characters over the Doki Doki Panic characters. They actually changed a lot of the mechanics to the game. And I believe, and I haven't played through Doki Doki Panic completely, but I do believe within Doki Doki Panic, you have to beat the game with all 4 characters without warping. So you have to go through all 7 worlds, defeat Wart, and then you get, like, the true ending. At least with this, like, you can just mix and match and play, you know, Mario, Luigi, Toad, Toadstool, and just beat the game normally, and then it just tallies up your numbers of what world, how many worlds you beat with those said characters. Now this one, like I said, it was a little bit more unique, because obviously they were, you know, using an existing game and retooling it to fit Mario aesthetic. In the subsequent years, we've had a lot of those characters make their way into Mario canon, like, you know, Shy Guys and Ninjas. Wart has never appeared again in a Mario game. He did appear briefly in Link's Awakening. He gave you, like, one of the songs there, but again, that was like the dream world that Link and the Windfish created. That's why there's, like, tons of Nintendo characters just hopping around. Mario 2, like, I think it's fantastic. Like, it's, I mean, obviously it's different from the Mario games. It plays a lot differently. Can't squish enemies. You have to, you know, pick them up and throw them. This is one I played, like, so many times in my childhood. And I mean, back then we didn't have no internet. We didn't know that, you know, this wasn't really Mario 2. We didn't know Doki Doki Panic, you know. Unless you had a dad that was off on business to Japan all the time, you didn't know it was Mario 2 or was Doki Doki Panic. You didn't know that. Don't even lie and say that you didn't know it was that. I mean, and then, of course, when we got the All-Stars collection, we got, you know, to know that the Lost Levels was the real Mario 2. I am surprised that, like, barring the Mario Advance 4, Mario Brothers 3, there hasn't been another game, really, where, like, Mario could pick up and throw items. I mean, you could a little bit in Mario 3, but I'm just talking about, like, picking them up and over your head, and also, like, picking, like, the vegetables out of the ground. Really hasn't returned in another Mario game. I mean, to my knowledge, I mean, I've played a majority of the Mario games. I'm pretty sure I'm missing something, but I mean, if I'm wrong, leave a comment down below. But yeah, Mario 2, I mean, it got a lot of flock since, you know, the creation of this website in 2006, because people were like, but people have to know this is not Mario 2. It's Mario 2. Just calm down. Eventually, Japan would get it later on in a Famicom cart, and it would just be called Super Mario USA. So, I mean, it's still, if Japan says it's a Mario game, it's a Mario game. And then, of course, we all know what happened to the sequels to these games. Zelda would never get another title on the NES. It would go over to the Super Nintendo with A Link to the Past. Castlevania would get Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, which is kind of my favorite in the series, just because of, like, the branching paths and the different characters that you can add onto it. And, of course, just we talk about Mario 3, you know, the greatest Mario game ever. I have a wall scroll on my wall. If that's not the greatest game of all time, I don't know what is. And that was my talk about the terrible 2s of the NES library and some of the, you know, infamous trilogies. on the NES. But I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Is there any other series that I may have forgotten that had, you know, a series of games on the NES that, like, the second game diverged completely from the rest of the series? Let me know in the comments, and let me know if you want more videos like this in the future. Till then, I'm Johnny Chase, and I still don't have an outro, but I am going to enjoy some Rogue Energy that I have behind me there. I am affiliated with Rogue Energy, so if you want to help support us here at the Syrup Club, use promo code Syrup Club at checkout, and you'll save 10% off your order. They're a great product, and thank for their support. Yeah, so go to rogueenergy.com and use promo code Syrup Club, and you'll get 10% off your order. There's my outro. Bye.